Well, CoastLife, all week long, we've been getting you ready for that back to school season. It's going to be here before we know it, and we want everybody to feel like they're prepared. I feel like going back to school looks a little bit different these days than maybe it did for us. I feel like for years it looked the same, and now
it was the same for a long time.
Enter technology.
Things are a lot different.
Yes. So we just want to make sure that parents and kids both are feeling good about going back to school. So we brought in Joey Melvin, Executive Director with Delaware Schools Safety Center, and we're talking a little bit about ways that you can prep parents and students alike for going back to school. And some of that starts with really just having those encouraging conversations at home, parents checking in with their kids.
Yep, absolutely. First and foremost, thank you for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the Safety Center and what we can provide. And what you started with is very important. If we look at relationships, open communication, that's key. So when do you want to do that is now, right? You want to do that over the summer. If parents and guardians and grandparents can have these conversations with their children over the summer and just establish that kind of trust, let them know that they have a safe place, they have a trusted adult that they can confide in.
Now, if you've established that, if you've taken the first step, what are some of the tools that are out there for parents, for kids and parents through SafeDE?
Yeah, so through SafeDE, we've invested very heavily in our time and resources into applications that will support our schools and keep them safer. One of those that we're really proud of is a method for anonymous reporting to occur. So we've invested in a platform that we provide to all public and private schools throughout the state. It's optional, but they can implement this software into their buildings. And we have 13 counselors and call takers 24/7, 365 that do nothing but receive these tips, these concerns, and we want to have that outlet for them, that ability and that resource to reach out. So with this application, if they're concerned about bullying, whether it's to themselves or to a peer, if they're concerned about a weapon, if they're concerned about drugs, if they're concerned about an inappropriate relationship within the school, this is all stuff that they can anonymously report. And it could be Christmas Eve at 2 in the morning that they decide to do this, and we can take immediate action. Those schools that implement the program create contact persons, but also we're connected to our law enforcement community and first responders. So if we have a student that has suicidal ideations, for example, or they have a friend they're concerned about, we can deploy those first responders to their residence really quick and get them the help they need, keep them safe. Another program that we work really hard to build is behavioral threat assessments within our schools. And the purpose of that is, of course, to prevent violent acts from occurring, but it goes a lot deeper than that. You know, research shows that 93% of every attack that we've had on a school, mass attack, they had shared information with somebody else. So that just shows that there was opportunities for intervention in the majority of incidents that we had along that pathway well before the event occurred, but making sure that the students have an outlet and they feel comfortable reporting and sharing that information. And the schools are trained to respond to that concerning behavior is super important. So that's another initiative that we work really hard to train behavioral threat assessment teams within schools.
I think that's incredible. We did mention that, going back to school these days looks a little bit different than it used to, and I think part of that is the ever-changing digital world around us, whether it's social media. I know a lot of schools, you have to have a lot of technology and internet access just to get your schoolwork done. So what are some steps for that digital safety that parents and students should both be aware of?
Yeah, definitely something we pay a lot of attention to, and digital safety is extremely important. We see this as our younger generations are leveraging it, and there's a lot of great things with it.
Sure.
There's a lot of dangers as well.
Absolutely.
So it's something we have to take in consideration. I really like to start with what's at home, right? With parents. And I want parents, and I really want to encourage them to educate themselves, not just anecdotally say, hey, this stuff can be dangerous. Like, really learn about what is dangerous about it. And when I go and I train and speak at a PTA meeting, or I train staff and talk about this stuff, go really in depth to how these platforms work, their intent, and helping them understand that the intent of these platforms is mostly monetary. It's not to keep you happy.
It's to keep you on the site.
It's to keep you on the site, right? It's to attract you to it, capture your data, explain to them that, yeah, you're not paying for it, but you are paying for it, right? You're giving up a lot of your personal data, and that's where we see a lot of children that are entering email addresses, date of births. It could ask you for social security numbers, and they do this innocently, thinking this is going to give me access to a game. And next thing you know, they've captured that data. You're enjoying the game, but on the back end, all of a sudden, they could be getting loans in your name, or even more concerning, it's a platform that allows for kind of grooming and for people that are doing very malicious things to target our youth.
I think all of this circles back to the beginning, which is the conversation part, whereas because you can't protect kids from everything all the time, having them feel comfortable talking with their parents about certain things might open the doors up to the people who do have fully formed brains and can make fully formed decisions.
Absolutely. Just for them to have, and again, a trusted adult.
And I think we would be remiss, if we wrapped up without talking. I know a lot of parents are concerned about bullying when they send their kids back to school. And I think, unfortunately, this happens sort of at all ages.
Yep, absolutely. So another a value back to the application that we provide to all the schools through SafeDE is our ability to have data. And as you may suspect, the most prevalent thing that we see reported is bullying. As you stated when we started out, with the digital changes that we've seen, and that scope has grown. And what it's done to bullying has really expanded it. So those are major concerns. Again, that goes back, and everything goes back to trusted adults, right? Really encouraging that climate, providing them a way to report it, right? So we don't want them to feel isolated. We want to make sure that they have different options. Some students are very comfortable going down and speaking to an administrator, a counselor, or some other trusted adult in their building. Could be their school resource officer. I know I would get reports, and establishing that for them, but making sure that there's a multitude of ways for them to communicate. Schools, again, are always across the state address kind of bullying, what it means, what it is, and we start that at a very young age. We talk about that in elementary school. But the more we can talk about it, more we can encourage these positive climates. It has shown that it makes schools safer. It drives down incidents of violence, and really makes not just our schools, but our community safer as well.
Yep, I love that. So a lot of great information that we have just thrown at you guys as we get ready for back to school season. Joey, is there a place that parents can go maybe for just some extra support, some extra information, maybe to kind of get the ball rolling on some of these discussions and conversations?
Yeah, if they go to the Delaware Emergency Management Agency's website, you can Google that, and as soon as you get there, if you go to the preparedness side, you'll see the Delaware School Safety Center, and we have our website on that. All of our contact information is on there, and we encourage parents to, when they have discussions with their kids, talk about all of these things, and that's to include safety. If they're having drills, if they're having any kind of events, have those discussions with their parents. Parents also, do your research on your school. Right? Ask about these kind of things. Ask about policies, procedures, emergency procedures, so you're not surprised when you hear or see certain things.
Makes sense to me. Well, Joey, Melvin, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming in today, and thank you for all the thorough approach that you guys take when it comes to addressing all of these issues and concerns that parents and students alike have when it comes to going back to school.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Of course. Well, he also mentioned chatting with some school resource officers. We've got one to introduce you to when we get back.